The U.S. intelligence community has released its annual threat assessment, and this year it highlights the dangers posed by rogue countries. In the past, it was terrorist groups and the possibility of an al-Qaeda attack that led that report, and more recently, it featured cybersecurity concerns. But things have changed. The report now singles out China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. It comes ahead of today's Senate Intelligence Committee hearing, where senators will hear from the nation's top intelligence officials. NBC's national security correspondent Ken Dilanian joins us now. So, Ken, one of the key focuses of this year's assessment is, quote, greater power competition. Can you tell us what that means and what we need to know about this focus on threats from these four countries in the report?
Good morning, Joe. Well, in this context, great power competition simply just means that, as you said, the main threats to the United States now come not from al-Qaeda and ISIS and terrorist groups, but from countries, rogue countries, essentially. And the big four, of course, are China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. And really, among those, China is the only great power. But all four of those countries have the ability to kill Americans and harm United States interests. And they're all trying to do that. And the report, of course, puts China at number one as the top threat, and notes that China is doubling its nuclear weapons capacity, is trying to exceed American capabilities in space, and is trying to build its influence around the world, all in an attempt to undermine the U.S. and supplant the U.S. as the dominant world power, and to undermine essentially the international order that America built after World War II. So those are the threats that U.S. intelligence officials are focusing on right now.
How is this report likely to factor into today's Senate Intelligence Committee hearing? What can we expect?
Well, I think we're going to hear some pointed questions about whether the intelligence community is actually shifting resources to reflect this prioritization of the threats. I spoke to a senior military intelligence official with interest in the Pacific theater recently, and he was lamenting that we've spent years mired in the Middle East and we really haven't shifted the kind of intelligence resources that he thinks we need over China and in the Pacific theater. And of course, Joe, there will also be topical questions, for example, about Afghanistan. You know, President Biden's going to announce that he's withdrawing all American troops by September. And this assessment says that the Taliban is likely to make gains there. So that's going to be a topic of conversation at the hearing today.
Ken, the assessment also mentions other threats like climate change, which some may not expect to see on a list like this. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, actually, the intelligence community has been studying climate change for years, and this assessment notes that climate change is fomenting instability around the world and causing, migration, for example. And it even says that the crisis on the southern border of the United States right now can be attributed to climate change. And of course, Joe, it looks at the impacts of the global pandemic. And in fact, this assessment says that the pandemic is the most destabilizing event since World War II, and the aftershocks will be felt for years, Joe.
Very interesting. All right, Ken, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.